Hi everyone, good evening. And Sofia, I think good morning to you in US.
Good morning, Alok.
Yeah. So to our viewers, let me introduce you to Sofia, Dr. Sofia Mumtaz, a good friend of mine. We will know her more during our discussions, but then just to summarize her long career in short, a girl from Delhi, surrounding Delhi rather, I would say, started her career from Delhi University, did her PhD in biosciences. She did further laurels to her accreditation by doing ISB PGP Max, where I met her first. Her and very many more empowered women and men there. We met together. That is how we know each other. Sophia had a long career in her journey in pharmaceutical industry. She did fantastically well in India when she set up the Pune Morales in Lupin, where she is president now. She looks after strategy, she looks after generics. She has started the Canadian market and lot many things I think she has done in her journey. But I think it is good enough to know that she has been the boss and doing very good in her role. And the biggest part here is, as Women's Day is approaching, so we thought, we as CIA-GLOCAL Venture LLP, who are a management consulting firm in India, we thought, why not we bring this subject of women who are really done something substantial, the women of substance. And here in front of us today is Sophia, Dr. Sophia, who is herself a woman of substance and an example for everyone, not only women, but also for men to follow. And Sophia, welcome to this platform. And it will be really a great pleasure to know more about you through these discussions. And feel free whenever you want to give a message to women as well as the men to know something from you, learn something from you. I will be very grateful. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Alok ji, for this very kind introduction and very happy to be here with you today.
Great. So I think, we know you well. In this case, I know you well, but then it will be
Yeah.
good that viewers also know you a bit about, how you started from your background from Delhi and then how you graduated to US today when you are using a global portfolio. You are heading a global portfolio and you are literally, because of COVID, I think you are forced to sit in your home and do the work from there. Else you are a big traveler.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So how did you travel this journey, maybe in your own words? And, it will be great to know the challenges,
Yeah,
and how you braved them.
yeah. No, Alok ji, from right from the beginning, I knew I wanted to do something meaningful with my life. Now, what that meaningful was going to be, I had no idea. So I did my um, PhD in biochemistry, as you just mentioned, and then I decided that I wanted to get into academics because that was the natural,
Mm. Mm.
progression once you do your PhD. I, in fact, even got a job in Delhi University
Oh,
in biochemistry as an assistant professor. I think within 6 months, I realized that was not my cup of tea.
yeah.
So I was more of a research person. I did not enjoy teaching as much, and the other option for me was to get um, into industry and pharmaceutical industry because I'd done my dissertation in drug delivery. Pharmaceutical industry was the one that I decided to move into, and got into product development. um, then from there I got into intellectual property. From there I got into portfolio and legal,
Mm.
and eventually I left biochemistry very far behind. And what I do today is more of general management
Correct,
and
correct.
overseeing business.
I
So
think I think this is one message I think for everyone to know that you start with a basic line, but ultimately you graduate to something different, bigger, and wider in your life. Yeah,
and
sorry.
I think, yeah, I think a lot of people don't understand that one should grab opportunities when they present themselves, and they may not always be in the exact field where you've trained.
Correct.
And that training always helps. My PhD training taught me to be analytical, to to
Detail
think
oriented.
about things in a certain way, to be industrious, and those are qualities that would help you throughout your journey.
Correct.
And yeah, but I've been very open to opportunities, and I've moved when opportunities presented themselves.
Correct, correct.
Yeah.
And I think one message what indirectly has already come up, that one is, yes, your learning help you in terms of studies,
Yeah.
what you do, the amount of time you spend on your own grooming. But then most important is how you want to, select at very beginning that, you went to teaching career, which is a surprise to me also. And then you realize yourself that, no, this is not my job. Maybe I need to do something better and bigger. I think you already said that. So I
Yeah.
think one very important aspect for every aspiring career that, they should really be realizing that when they have to switch their career at what time and what field they want to go.
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
that's very important part. And then I think you already said that you have done a lot of work, like R&D is your forte, basically when you started with, and you set up the R&D, you were also in legal and, so many things. How did you handle all this pressure at the same time, also handling your, family?
Um, to me, learning is not does not stop when once you stop your formal education.
Hmm.
Learning is a lifelong process. So for those of us who think that you've done this and therefore you've finished your college and you've stopped learning,
Hmm.
not happening.
Correct.
Learning, if you stop learning, you stop growing. So to me, I do not have legal background, but I globally legal reports to me.
Hmm.
And in order for me to deliver on my role, I need to understand what they're talking about, right? I need to understand the language of business. I need to understand the language of legal, and so on. So, and I'm in the pharmaceutical industry. I need to understand the products I work with.
Correct.
So, learning is a lifelong process. One cannot really limit themselves to, one point in time that
Hmm.
you finish your
Hmm.
schooling or your college.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Correct. I
And
think
the R&D, sorry, yeah, go
one
ahead.
thing probably just, so I will be, keep on disturbing you in between. You said
Yeah,
very rightly that, legal was not your forte, but then, in order to, you are reported by people around the globe, not only you should know the subject, but also you should be smart enough to decipher that and also, bring in value out of their work, what they are doing. So I think
exactly.
that's another thing what you, just proved here in discussions itself, that, how you graduated and how you brought those things in your own persona without, maybe sometimes without realizing, but then putting in a lot of efforts. Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, and that's exactly right. I mean, you have to continue to
yeah,
learn and grow throughout your life.
correct.
And and I know you're doing it for Women's Day, so I'll also put in a pitch here for women. And it's I think doubly difficult for women.
Hmm.
We just need to work doubly hard,
Hmm.
because whatever you say, whether it's in India or whether it's in US or wherever in the world, women are still not um, as present in the highest offices
Hmm.
as we would like to be.
Correct.
And there is a big agenda in most, big companies to have gender diversity
Hmm.
and things like that. And I think we've made great strides in that direction, but it is still not equal, you
Correct.
know.
You're right.
And in order to be able to get to that status, I think women just need to understand that they just need to put in more effort to be recognized at the same level.
Correct. I think that's exactly the point which wanted to bring in as in this aspect of Women's Day, that people take it very light, and then we normally see women typically as a subject, more of an object. To be very honest, it is very sorry to say this, but then we never realize that journey and the hard work what they put in. We see from our own house, our mother, like I see my wife, and you might be seeing your in-laws and your mother and other relatives, how it takes efforts, even if you are a homemaker or if you are a corporate leader, that you have to transform through all the roles. So I think that's incredible. And I think in between the switch, there was a time when, for maybe when your kid was young, you moved from Delhi to Pune, and I think few
Yeah,
months, 6 months, I think you
yeah,
were not maybe really meeting him that often the way you should
yeah,
be.
yeah,
And another time was when maybe when you already were shunting between US and India, and then you finally moved to US, and he moved maybe a bit later, 6 months again,
yeah,
probably.
yeah,
So
yeah.
how this transformation or this transition you faced?
Yeah, these are things that as professional women we need to deal with, right? When I got this opportunity to move to Pune, and I did, my son was really young. He was, I think, in class 4 or 5.
Wow.
And yeah, so, and he stayed back in Delhi because he was still going to school there. And I moved to Pune. So that was a difficult transition period. And in fact, I'll tell you a funny story. I didn't get a promotion at
Uh-huh.
the company that I was with.
Mm-hmm.
And the story I heard was that they felt that let's not give it to Sophia. She's got her husband here. Her son goes to school here. She's not going to move.
Oh.
So that's a safe bet. We'll take care of her next time. This time, let's give it to a man.
Mm-hmm.
And that really upset me that somebody would take me for granted that way. And that was kind of a trigger for me, to show them. So which helped me move, and it was a difficult
And
decision.
the men who never believed you, but then you proved them wrong.
I think people already always recognized that I had value. It was just, recognizing the value and translating into something meaningful for an
Correct.
organization. Because a lot of organizations do have a glass ceiling, right? And we saw it with Hillary Clinton in US. There was a glass ceiling. There was no acceptance of a woman president. Similarly, on a much, much, much smaller scale, organizations have glass ceilings. So I think finding an organization which treats women equally is also important, because some organizations just do not have that culture
Mm.
of equality.
But then a lot of compromises on the way with your like you said, kid was young, so you have to travel a lot or work maybe over
Lots of,
to this. So they
no doubt
adjusted your
about it.
requirements
See,
also. Yeah.
yeah, no doubt about it. In Indian culture, and most places globally, women are still the homemaker,
Mm.
right? And you are still expected to take care of everything at home and also at work. And when you can't do that, right, because you're traveling for work, and my job entailed a lot of travel,
Mm.
there is a lot of guilt, right? Um, but you make choices and you live with those choices.
Correct.
Some people make the choice that they want to be just homemakers, and that's a good choice too. But others like me could be making the choice that they also want to have a career.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and yeah, and you need to have a supportive family in
Correct.
that case.
Very
Yeah.
important. I think that brings another bigger aspect to the question. With growth of you in the corporate ladder or any area of business or anything as women, how you feel that the so-called samaj gets benefited with this transition? The society, I mean to say for viewers in English. Yeah.
Yeah, today, what I do sets an example for my son,
Hmm.
right? um, I think traditionally over the years women were second grade citizens,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
With education and with women empowerment, already in big cities they are not,
Hmm.
right? Girls have equal rights, right? And I think it's nothing to do with me being at a particular position. I think it's just education, being economically independent, whatever role you are, wherever you are in your life and in your organization. I think economic freedom, education,
Hmm.
I think these are all good things for equality. And we are all born equal. So why this role differentiation? Why this second class citizens versus
Hmm.
first class citizens? I don't understand it.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
What prompted you? Means after you already started very bright. Once you decided, and then
Mhm.
you PhD as your background, you can say.
Mhm.
What prompted you to go for further education in management? And it's good that
Um,
you took that because we could meet. But then, other than then, what was the reason really you
yeah.
thought of that juncture of career?
So as I said, I was a scientist, right? And I started my career in research and R&D.
Hmm.
I I was managing R&D,
Hmm.
and then I wanted to do more, and the only way to do more and to grow into a more corporate role,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? And in order to understand and from a pure R&D role into understanding the P&L of the organization, how and things like that. I I was doing it, but An MBA kind of fast tracks that learning process.
Correct.
You know, you now feel more confident that what you're saying is right,
Hmm.
and it was for that reason. I was taking on roles that required me, and like I said, it's a lifelong learning, whether it's going to a formal school or informally through your experiential. Experientially, obviously, takes a lot more time
Correct.
compared to going to a formal school where all the experiences of so many people are combined and delivered as a capsule.
Yeah, I think good thing in the ISB, when we did this PGP Max, I think it's good to share with everyone that the spectrum of the class was so diverse, like people from insurance to businessmen themselves, and like you were
Yes.
pharmaceutical, and then I was
Yeah.
from like construction and infrastructure industry, and so many varieties and different countries. Like, we have people from 60 different people, 64 different people. So I think that knowledge also probably somewhere, sits in the back of our mind, and that brings in maybe better clarity than academics sometimes. But then
I
academics makes
completely
the
agree.
path, better,
Yeah.
clear. But then this learning, peer learning, what we call typically, I think it adds to.
I completely agree with you. I think we had a group of really, really smart people who were achievers in their own fields and industries, and interacting with them, discussing, and understanding their points of view, I think really helped me grow. It's like fast track growth, intellectual growth,
Correct.
when you go to a program like that.
Correct. Which event I would say that something which has happened with you, you may like to share with people that, in such a glittering career, how obstacle you crossed or how good things have happened, whatever. Very deep.
You see, I just feel that uh, good things happen to people who keep trying. I know some people say that, this person is really smart,
Hmm.
but everybody is smart in my view.
Hmm.
It's just how much you apply yourself to whatever your chosen area is,
Hmm.
right? Like I said, my chosen areas have changed drastically over the period of my career. I've just applied myself intensely to each area in order to prove that I can deliver on that role. Um, I think that's the one message that I would have for everyone, that you just need to um, perseverance. You know,
Perseverance. Very rightly said.
yeah,
Yeah.
be very very diligent, and successful follow.
Right.
Yeah, and if it doesn't change jobs, maybe it's because you're in the wrong place.
Hmm. I think,
You
yeah.
know, and
Yeah. Because you have to
yeah,
ultimately find that, yeah, that whether are you able to really cope up with that. I agree.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
like
really.
I told you, I was in academics and I changed that. I went to company number one. Thought there's a glass ceiling, changed that. But I've been with this organization that I'm currently with for 18 years,
Hmm. Hmm.
and you kind of find the right place to be.
Yeah. It also brings in one very pertinent question for the time of this COVID. How you faced this situation of, I'm sure that you're working from home, I can see that, and then a lot of your other colleagues. But do you feel that this also impacted the careers of young men, women around the globe? And because you see a lot of places and you are a lot of insights of various countries, how did you felt about it?
I think globally, it has impacted
Mm.
because because of COVID, a lot of economies suffered, right?
Okay.
And a lot of companies have downsized. A lot of people have lost their jobs.
Mhm.
Um, so men or women, it doesn't matter. But I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of unemployment. You
Mm.
know, although what I see currently is that it's coming back. As vaccinations started, as the people have gotten used to wearing masks and still
Mm.
going to work. I think economy is kind of kicking back in again, and job creation has started, but it has impacted a lot of people.
Correct.
Yeah, in terms of
I remember in our younger days when you used to leave the home, we used to always do like this. But today we first touch the mask.
yes,
I think same is
exactly.
for everyone. So
Yeah,
the habits also are changing. And do
yes.
you feel that the aspiring careers, you know, might have got impacted because of this or something?
Uh, yes, I mean, and especially it's the younger lot which is really impacted because the first to go in an organization is normally you know wherever you have more people.
Hmm.
If you're the only head of the organization. Unless you're really, really bad, the chances are you'll stay there. But if there are 10 people, doing similar job, it's easy to downsize there. So yeah, so younger people have been really impacted. But hopefully soon it'll be back to normal,
Correct.
and economy will pick up and people will start getting jobs again.
Correct. And just if you see when you started your career just after the graduation, and then now you see yourself, do you feel that generally there is a bit of empowerment to women across the globe, in India particularly, compared to earlier?
Definitely.
And
Definitely, especially in big cities. I still see not so much in our smaller towns, because you go to your village, you go to your smaller towns, and you don't see it as much there. Although things have improved there also,
mm,
but in big cities, I definitely think that things are very different
mm,
from,
mm,
you know. I mean, if I drove a car when I was in my college, I'd have five other car and men trying to cut me off. That doesn't happen. That's normal now, right? So I think the acceptance of women in public areas and public spaces is much more.
that's great. Irrespective of COVID time, because it's like a leap year. How a typical executive like yours, the day starts and ends? Is there any cycle or there is no cycle?
So there is no cycle. So when because of COVID, I've not traveled like you mentioned. Otherwise, I used to go to India almost 5 to 6 times a year.
Hmm.
So there was a lot of travel involved, and that travel, I'm I'm kind of happy it didn't happen this year. It got me, although I did miss it initially.
Hmm.
Uh, you get some time to get a routine going and the like. But when you're traveling so much, you're jet lagged and you don't have a routine.
Hmm.
Um, but nowadays, during COVID times, that travel has been um, replaced by calls like these, Zoom call or Teams call, which I'm doing with the teams. And now I have people in India, in Australia, in Japan,
Time zones.
in Europe, in US. So, and I work through all time zones. So my day could start at 6 in the morning and end at 9 or 10. And some days, but a typical day, I mean, those obviously are not usual. A typical days normally starts at 8 with calls with India and ends around 8 also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. I think, Sophia, it was wonderful. And as curiosity, where does you see now further? You know, what's your next inspiration or next milestone is in your mind, whichever
You
field.
know, yeah, we all want to continue to keep growing, right? I have several years in me yet, and I don't intend to stop. Um, but I don't plan too far ahead. I mean, you prepare, but sometimes fate has other plans for you,
Hmm.
right? So I'm sure there'll be another chapter, another story. We'll see what it is.
This is how Sophia is. She will always keep something in her mind, but she will say, let's see. Okay, I think, Sophia, I have asked you enough questions, but then, it's a question of equal opportunity. So you have any question for you, for me in your mind?
Um, well, no, no, anything. Um, I think you're doing so well, and you obviously been an inspiration for many. And we had a very good time in ISB. I can just say thank you for your friendship.
Good, good. Thanks a lot. And it has been, I must say that to every one of you that Sophia, just getting her here, probably the source of ISB, our linkage there worked. Otherwise, getting her like this and so free and, speaking almost like half an hour is very, very difficult. But then, Sophia, I really admire your time and support and for the bigger cause. Last, a message for aspiring women.
I would say that women need to first make up their mind that they're what is it that they want to do, and there is no right or wrong, right? Being a homemaker is a very difficult task. I have one son and I know how difficult it is. Um, and it
Invention
is.
is this, he is working already.
Yeah. No, and he's now all grown up, but bringing up a child, giving a child good values, managing. So that's, I think, an incredibly difficult job.
Mm,
So those who choose to do that, I mean, there's pure admiration for them. Those who choose to juggle job with home, admiration for them also, because I think it is, you need to do what drives you. And if it's the corporate world that you want to get into, remember that we made great strides. We're still not equal to men.
mm.
We just need to work harder and longer um, to get those same opportunities. Don't give up. Don't let anybody tell you, because they will, that you can't do it.
Correct. I think it's
Yeah.
wonderful message to everyone, including the men, in fact, who are aspiring. And Sophia, it was wonderful as always to talk to you. And this was the
Thanks.
first time we have talked such a long time so formally. But then
Yes.
still, it was inspiration to learn so much about you, even for me. And look forward to see such interviews maybe further, in your journey whenever we come across.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Whenever you want, always there.
good. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you.